Excuse me. I want to talk a little about the vilification of ideals and language. Something really struck me while I was listening to Charlie Kirk. Not a huge fan. I think he's a little naive on certain topics. Like one I think he's naive on is he only sees the okay, let me start that part over. So, Charlie Kirk was asked what he thinks about drugs and the war on drugs. And he said he used to be totally pro-legalization and now has done a 180-degree flip. In my experience, anytime somebody believes something and then does a complete 180-degree flip on that thing, it's usually because they're acting out of emotions and not actually thinking. And I don't want to make Charlie sound like he's some kind of emotive goon, because he's not. But I disagree with him here, and I'm going to say it. There are more options than just legalization or illegalization of drugs. Plenty more. Nah, I don't know why I said plenty more. That's not true. Really, the one that I want to call out is decriminalization. First of all, decriminalization is the way to put the quote-unquote drug trade back into the hands of the people. You know, just like things used to be sold at pharmacies, owned by mom and pop. Let's use cannabis as an example. In Colorado, cannabis was first decriminalized, and then it was legalized. Now, what happened? What happened when it was decriminalized is you had a bunch of, shall we say, entrepreneurs that were profiting off of the sale of cannabis. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with selling cannabis or using cannabis. I think it can be a wonderful plant with amazing benefits. I do see a problem when it gets controlled by big corporations, much like the pharmaceutical trade is now. And that's exactly what happened when cannabis was legalized in Colorado. I saw most of my friends lose everything that they had worked towards because their job, which the day before had been perfectly decriminalized, was now restricted. What happens when you legalize something is you give opportunity to the big corporations to take over because it's now legal. However, when something is decriminalized, it's still not accepted in the corporation standpoint, but American citizens don't go to jail for possessing cannabis. And I think that that was the sweet spot. But you know why it didn't stay is that it put the power in the hands of the people. And we are the victims of a corporate government. It is nothing but a corporation. And I can prove to you when it became a corporation. It's been a slow burn with a select few steps along the way that has ensured that you are now enslaved by the corporation that is the United States of America, backed by worthless fiat currency that has no innate value whatsoever at all. Those dollars you have, they are nothing. They are an illusion. Brings me to my next point, which was the vilifying, which was supposed to be my first point, but the vilification of language and ideals. I'm going to start with nationalism. If you go to take 10 people, 8 of them are going to get really upset if you say, I'm a nationalist. Because of the word association game that's been played with the NAZI party. And there's a whole rabbit hole. There's a whole rabbit hole when it comes to the NAZIs that I don't feel comfortable getting into on this platform, but it is not what you know. Maybe some of you do, but it is not what you know. So, why is nationalism actually considered a bad thing? It's because people don't think. People feel. And when people are told what to feel, they do it very well. And they do it very powerfully. Now, the term nationalism is not innately bad or good. I think it skews more towards the good side of things, but it is just a term. What it implies is that you care about your country first. And I am hard-pressed to think of an instance in which that would be a bad thing. We've seen what happens across the board when people are more concerned with global events than national events. Now we are giving all of the United States money to Ukraine, who ironically is controlled by NAZIS. Now, we'll leave that one there for today. But do you really think that the good guys won World War II? Because I don't. But nationalism, in its purest form, is not bad. It is patriotism. Okay, patriotism is another word which has been vilified, and those words have been vilified in such a manner that's really insidious, because people don't just hate them, they mock them. And when people have been instructed and programmed to mock something, it means that they will no longer consider it a valid belief system or way of life. They are right in their own minds, and you are dumb for believing what you do. And the same has been said for basically every quote-unquote conspiracy theory that has existed over the past 60 years. In case you guys didn't know, the term conspiracy theorist was coined by the CIA in an effort to quell the many people that were beginning to question the authenticity of the Kennedy assassination. So the Kennedy assassination, that easily loops me right back to the United States being a corporation. Kennedy, right before he was assassinated by the CIA, George Bush Sr. Playing a large part of that, he was looking to maybe not disband, but diminish the power of the Federal Reserve. Really poignant speech about secret societies and how secrecy is repugnant to a free and open society. And I think he was spot on with that. I know I'm ping-ponging from one topic to another. My brain does that. Pick up what you can, leave the rest. It doesn't matter. But Johnson came in, on the blood trails of Kennedy, and he furthered the United States being a corporation. And then you got, Nixon, when we went off the gold standard. They all bought you. You were bought and sold. There's your social security number is essentially a bank account number for your corporation. The corporation that is you, which you have no access to the funds that you accrue, but your corporate government does. You are a slave. Okay. Your taxes are your slave dues. most people now in the United States make enough to survive. When somebody has to work their entire lives, 2/3 of their lives is spent working, and you still make barely enough to survive, that is slavery. At the very, very least, it's indentured servitude, but that doesn't even really qualify. It's slavery, dude. You guys are so comfortable being slaves. It's truly pathetic. I'm very uncomfortable. I search for any way I can to get out of this enslavement. I screwed up my life early on, so it's really tough to get out of this position. But you know what? It's ended up being a blessing, because I don't think I would have the same perspective had everything worked out in my favor. I think that I can thank my eyes to see. I can thank my mistakes for giving me eyes to see. And, everything evens out in the end. But are you guys really comfortable being slaves to the federal government? Because that's what you are. You don't even see your money before the government takes it. You don't even see it. What more do you need to know to show you that it's not your money? And what is it? What money is it? It's numbers on a computer screen. At the very least, it used to be paper, okay? It used to be paper with a number on it. Now, it's just digits. It's ones and zeros on a computer. Your money doesn't exist, dude. And that doesn't seem to alarm people. And I don't understand that. How far we've fallen since the days of the alleged Boston Tea Party. I suggest everybody questions what they learned in history class to the highest degree, because we are owned, and our owners told us a lot of tales, many of which are just not true. George Washington didn't chop down a cherry tree, okay? All politicians lie, and that includes Washington. Honest Abe, too. It's all propaganda, guys. It's all propaganda meant to get you to believe lies. And that's where nationalism comes in. I think nationalism is very important, because it instead of making you, not making you, I guess, what's a good word? Coercing you to worship your government. It basically makes you live in your community. And thus, people take more pride in their communities. And I think that is so important in today's America and today's world at large. Because look at the cities. The people that live there don't care about them. When you get out into the more rural areas, people still have their old farmhouses, although Billy Goat Gates is buying up a whole ton of farmland, as are his peers. But there are still farms that exist. There are still small towns that love their neighbors. But when you get into cities, it's hatred. It's hatred, and that's been done to you. The people that live in cities are victims of such an insidious and powerful brainwashing program that they actually think they're doing the right thing by fighting their neighbors. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And they need to pull their heads out of their asses, and we need to help them. And the way we do that is by taking more pride in the nation that we are. Not the government of the nation, but the people of the nation. We need to care about our neighbors again. I don't know if any of that made sense. Like I said, take what you can use and leave the rest. I'll get better at this.